My family and I used to live in a rough neighborhood when I was a kid. One night, it was just my mom, my two siblings, and I. My dad was gone on a business trip. Around midnight, someone started knocking on our door. My mom woke up, went to the front door, and asked who it was. No one answered. She thought that maybe it was some kids playing ding-dong ditch, so she went back to bed. About 30 minutes later, again, someone started knocking. She gets up and peers to the side window to see if she can spot anyone out there, but no one's there. She starts to worry, so she goes back to the room, grabs my dad's double barrel, and sits in the living room in the dark, waiting. Then more knocking. My mom began shouting at whoever it is she's going to call the cops, and if anyone tries to come in, she would shoot them. At about 2 a.m., the police finally show up and do a quick search outside of our house while we waited inside. After their search, they tell my mom they had found a piece of barbed wire about 4 feet long next to the front door, asked if it belonged to her. She said that it wasn't hers and asked why. The cop told her it belonged to whoever was knocking on the door, and that they were planning on strangling my mom with the barbed wire when she opened the door to see who was knocking. They said that she was very smart not to open the door and see who it was. Otherwise, it could have cost her life. The cops said they'd patrol the neighborhood until the morning and do a thorough investigation once there was daylight. That morning, as they were searching around the house, they found footprints leading around to the back of the house up to my bedroom window. They had found scrapes and nicks up in the window sill where the person was trying to pry it open to break in, but they failed. My mom always suspected it was this one neighbor because he would always stare at my mom through his curtains, and he wasn't very friendly. And he also knew when my dad wasn't home, since he knows what kind of vehicle he drives. We moved out of that house shortly after, and to this day, we never knew who it was. My dad lives in a high-rise apartment, and one day, he came home to cops outside of his door. It was pretty early, 5 or 5:30 a.m. They wanted to see if they could ask him some questions. My dad said of course. He invited them in and even made them breakfast. They asked him some questions about the neighbor across the hall. Just general stuff like, have you noticed anything weird or strange, etc. My dad told them no. He looks like a well put together 30-ish-year-old businessman. And my dad lives in higher end apartments, so this is what everyone looks like. Nothing weird or out of the ordinary. The cops go on to explain that a 30-year-old woman is missing and was last seen by a security camera walking into the building with this man. But they never had any footage of her, or him for that matter, leaving the apartment. Now the cops stay outside and monitor the apartment until about 5 p.m. that night when they finally get a warrant. They notice a shower curtain missing and golf clubs scattered on the bedroom floor of the man. They end up arresting that guy. Fast forward 3 weeks, and the cops find her body about 45 minutes south in the woods on the side of a bike trail. Some runner stumbled upon her. Nothing more was released on what state she was in. Then about 2 months ago, they found more tapes. As the investigators went back to look at them, they discovered the man leaving the apartment with his golf bag. But like I said earlier, all of his clubs were in his room. Now I'm sure you could put two and two together. A full-size woman wouldn't fit in a golf bag. But that's how he got her out. His trial is coming up, and as of right now, he claims it was just an accident. He panicked as he tried to hide it since he had a girlfriend the whole time. So when I was in high school, there were a few disturbing occurrences in my neighborhood. A woman down the street who lived alone woke up one night to go to the bathroom and heard her TV on in her living room. So she naturally wandered in there, assuming nothing out of the ordinary. She found the guy sitting on her couch watching the TV. She started screaming, obviously terrified, and the guy just ran out of her house. Maybe a week later, further down the street, there was a family with a young daughter. She woke up in the middle of the night with her bed sheets pulled down and a guy tickling her feet. Again, she started screaming and the guy fled. Another week or so later, 3 houses down where an elderly couple lived, the husband woke up in the middle of the night to find a man standing over his bed and staring at his wife sleeping. The old man started hollering and yelling at this guy, and once again, he fled. So now shit's on super high alert. The cops are patrolling on a regular basis, and they somehow figured out who it was, and everyone in the neighborhood got a flyer with this picture. Now behind us was a densely wooded area that stretches for a couple of miles in every direction. And this guy had literally been living in those woods for upwards of a month or so, in a tent, doing God knows what when he wasn't breaking into houses. But the creepiest part of this whole story is this. One night, in the middle of all these incidents, we had our sliding glass door open with just a screen door behind it shut. Now, side note, this was in the summer. We had a big backyard, and it was pitch black back there at night. Our dog suddenly jolted up and started growling viciously, like I'm talking tail stiff as a board, hair on his neck standing up. Our dog was the best, nicest dog, like the nicest dog ever. He never did that. So naturally, we were like, what the fuck? My father jumped up and put the floodlight over the deck on to see what was back there. But there was nothing. The next morning, we were outside doing yard work and noticed the lock on our back gate was broken. Someone had clearly done it. It wasn't like it was wear and tear or something like that. It's very safe to assume that this guy had tried to get into our backyard, but was scared away by our dogs growling. What a good boy.
Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed these creepy stories. If you love these types of videos and want to see more, please subscribe and make sure you turn on those post notifications and click that bell so you don't miss out on the next chilling story. See you soon.